in this video, it's a little bit of a side note. Actually, not anymore. I mean, I'm always talking about the business and the company, Riververse, all that good stuff. And I want to let people in on that might not know how the industry works, and you know how it's not just comics. It's so many different industries operate like that, and the benefits as well as the issues that you may run into. There's positives. I think the positives certainly outweigh the negatives, but yeah, there's going to be negatives as well. But how a lot of industries and most industries have historically worked. If you are in sales, you don't sell directly to the customer. You sell to someone else that is selling that product. That is deemed as the retailer. That does not mean that the actual consumer or customer is like their views don't matter. It's just there's a middleman there. And when you understand that most companies, like let's say in comic books, for example, are not selling to you directly. They're selling to someone that's going to buy it. And outside of the digital space, which isn't like most of the sales by any means, like because some of these companies will have their own digital apps and stuff. But even some of that stuff gets put off on Comixology. That stuff is getting put off on other companies as well. So maybe not even that. But definitely with physical media, they're not selling to you. So what happens is, let's say in the comic book industry, most of you might know this, but you'd be surprised because it's not on them to know that a lot of folks don't understand how it generally happens. So in the comic book industry, there was actually an additional an added middleman in the distributor. So what happens is think of it like this. This is a chain. You have Marvel or DC. They'll pay to print it. Okay. Of course, they'll get that thing printed. That will then go to the distributor. Historically, it was Diamond. And now you have like Lunar as well as Penguin Random House. Okay. So they sell to them, who it actively is selling through their connection with the retailers. They're selling to the retailers. Okay. So there's actually with the distributor, another middleman that is being at least sold to somewhat, or they're taking money off the top is how it works. And it's not you. Okay. So you're the third, fourth, maybe. Definitely if you got it after market, but you're like the third. Even if you got it new, you're the third owner of the book. Think of it like that, because the retailer owns it, and yeah, they're getting it at a cheaper price, and they're of course going to pay you. You're going to pay the retail price of that book, so the retailer themselves can make money. So the pitch, you have obviously these previews and all that, and like I said, yes, you're telling your comic book shop you're enthusiastic about this product or whatever, but for a lot of new material, all that's just guesswork. Okay, you have these previews. Whatever it is, they're looking at these catalogs. The companies are trying to sell that to the retailers. The retailers then turn around and then sell it to you, of course, and they base their purchase off what they think they can do. Yes, there's some predatory, as some people will call it. I don't know if I'd go that far, but it's rough with like the incentive variants and all that stuff. When retailers are getting books they know they can't sell to get that one book that will maybe make them a lot of money because it's rare. That's all that's going on. But it does change when your approach is like ours, where we will sell to retailers, but our retailers are not our primary market. Our primary market is you. Okay. So the company's going to go wherever you go, where as to with some guys, and I guess that's the benefit that they see, is that I don't have to convince the end user to buy it. In order to make the money, at least in that given moment, off of that book, off of that product, I have to sell it to the retailer. It's a different dynamic. This is how it happens in the toy industry, for example. They're not selling to you. They are getting suits ready, and then they're going maybe to fly out to talk to whoever's the head of Target's toys or Walmart or whoever. And they're having to convince them that this product is something that, of course, is going to sell. But ultimately, they'll make that purchase. That's who they're selling it to. It's not to you. Because, hell, there may be things that they accept and things that they reject that customers actually aren't interested in. But effectively, their customer is the retailer. Okay? The benefit of not having to do that like we do You don't have to rely on them. Is that you have a direct line of sight and you can tailor make your experience, even the checkout experience, for example, for your audience, okay, your actual customer. You can do whatever special thing that you want to do. You can change this, change that. You can pivot. You can do whatever it is that you want. And that data is more clear and it's more direct. It's more honest. It's more accurate. You can base your business model off of something that you can look at and truly identify. Whereas to the comic book industry, everybody's guessing right now on how many comic books are selling. Nobody knows. Hell, definitely right now, because none of the companies are actually making their numbers public. So you have like MBD book scans and people are trying to figure out these creative ways, participating stores to then guess how many customers are actually buying that stuff. But oftentimes, like when Diamond did put out those numbers every year, the annual numbers of the most sold, high sold comic books in terms of unit sales, they weren't going off of customers. They were going off how many Diamond sold to retailers. Or I guess how many retailers bought from Diamond. You know, so that data is inaccurate. Let's put it as clear as you can. So you got to go into it with that mind of thinking that if you are in the business of trying to build your business around selling to retailers, it has its advantages because maybe you get some deal, maybe you get it baked in, maybe you get this sort of guaranteed like money, I guess you like to think. That's why it's a lot of people are incentive to do it, right? So, and obviously when you're dealing with like these big box companies, they have a big pool of money. So it's attractive that so many people would go to them first and try to sell their product to them. But understand that there's a game that's being played there, and I don't want to play it. I'm not interested in playing that. I think that the way of the future with the internet's growth and the fact that we can do so many creative things these days, I think there's unnecessary middleman taking money off the top, and you can now have a direct line of sight with your customers, and because you don't have to ask permission from anybody to get it in their hands, because everything's been sort of decentralized. The means, yeah, I don't know why anybody else. Well, I do know why other people would do it, but for me, it just makes the most sense as a businessman. But when you get to, if you want to really understand the market and understand the game, that's the part I think a lot of people lose sight of, is the role that the retailers play in all this. We're playing different games, same industry, different games. Most companies are not selling to you, they're selling to retailers. And I'm not saying this to boost me up. I'm just giving it to you. The fact you approach that differently when you're trying to rely on convincing a distributor to get it, or the distributor, you know, their data that they're relying on as far as who they're getting from the retailer, which is, again, so you got distributor, retailer, then customer. It's middlemen that are involved in that. And, you know, one's trying to convince the other and to buy it and all that. Like, that's a different game that some people are playing. I'm playing the game, and others are playing. There's a lot of us in the independent circuit are playing the game where we're selling directly to you. So that I won't say playing field. It's just we're in a different. It's the same industry, obviously, but it's a different way of doing business. And once you start to understand that, you understand why people navigate in the way that they are. Also, why it seems like a lot of content issues are so late to get corrected. And it's because, well, think about who they're not selling to you. So they're getting data real late, man. They're not going to get incentivized. It's less about people saying this is trash or all that, whatever it is. You know, that doesn't really matter because it's already out of the hands by the time, before you ever get it, it's already out of their hands. They've already made the money that they're going to make off the product by printing and selling it to the distributor or whatever. Like they've already made their money. Retail, they've already made the money. The money's already been made. So it's like at that point, it's like whatever happens, happens. They get a deal with a big bookstore for the graphic novels or something, which Marvel and DC is known for doing, like for the trades and all that. Baked in money. That's easy money. That thing could sit there and collect dust. It doesn't matter to them. They've already convinced Barnes and Nobles to buy it. Okay. They're within their deal. Barnes and Nobles maybe already buying. I'm just using this as a hypothetical situation. They're getting it. We're out of here. We're moving on to the next project. Once you understand that, you understand how the industry works, and you understand why people are playing by a different set of rules. Don't forget the retailers and the role they play in these industries, man, especially in art and entertainment. If you enjoyed this video and want to support other content, please become a member at ericdjuly.com. This is my own unique platform that replaced my Patreon. Our Ultramax, which is our highest tier, gets free shipping domestically even with Rippaverse orders, and are able to redeem the Creators Edition copy of ISOM #1. You can move up and down tiers or cancel at any time. Also visit Rippaverse.com. This is my comic book company that launched a $3.7 million campaign. We appreciate your support.